Things are not going well for the prosecution in New York. They're not. Let me play you some audio. And the reason I want to play you audio, and I want to put this in first perspective, is NBC News legal analyst. Listen to him first. It's important you hear him first.
Danny, let's bring you in here. How significant a moment was that? I mean, does that really give the jury something to doubt here?
It's significant, but I appear to be in the minority. A lot of folks seem to think this was a devastating blow for the prosecution. I don't see it that way. I doubt the prosecution sees it that way. I would bet the defense doesn't even consider it that. Michael Cohen is a cooperating witness. By definition, he's a guy who has credibility issues. So when you're asking him about a phone call, and if you catch him, they're going to say in a lie or maybe forgetting what the reason was for his phone call 8 years ago. A couple things could happen. The jury might think, oh, he's concealing it, which is bad for the prosecution. Or they may just conclude it was 8 years ago. He just doesn't remember. So really, I don't think it was a devastating blow to the prosecution, but it's something they may want to clean up on redirect. Do look for the defense to focus on that phone call in their closing and say, Michael Cohen himself has reasonable doubt about whether or not he even called Donald Trump.
Now, I can stop there, but he is in the minority. This is the commentary at CNN on this case.
Either fabricator, liar, or forgetful person.
I'm sorry, this is MSNBC.
That makes the district attorney's office look sloppy, in addition to making Michael Cohen seem like a self-assured either fabricator, liar, or forgetful person. It casts doubt on the veracity of a ton of his testimony, and not just about who he did or didn't talk to on October 24th or October 26th. It sort of casts lots of his testimony in doubt, given the passage of time, and makes the district attorney's office look terrible all in one breath. This is a moment of real triumph for Todd Blanche. You could even hear it in his voice. He is not a person to get excitable very easily.
Yes. Listen, let me explain to you just how bad Michael Cohen's testimony was for the prosecution. It was not a major topic on MSNBC this morning. That's how you know it was bad. This at CNN.
Falsus in unum. I think that's the fancy Latin phrase, which for the rest of us means if you lied about one thing, I don't have to believe another thing that you say, and that is exactly what the judge will instruct the jury. If you find anything that a witness said to be untrue, to be incredible, to be a lie, feel free to disregard the entirety of that witness's testimony.
Yes, and Cohen was caught repeatedly in lies. This again from CNN.
Michael Cohen said he never sought a job at the White House. Brian Lanza here, who worked on the 2016 campaign, says that's not true. He recalls Michael Cohen wanting to be White House counsel. We have some journalists on our panel here saying that's not true. They recall Michael Cohen saying he was going to join the White House. He was very excited to do so. According to Blanche, by the way, Cohen, this is about the harassing calls. Cohen said the person they would have to explain to the Secret Service. The person replied, "I'm 14. Please don't do this." This is when Michael Cohen was getting harassing phone calls. There is a block feature on phones, by the way, if you're getting harassing phone calls. In any case, Alyssa Farah Griffin, tell me, what do you think?
So listen, I was working for a number of Republican lawmakers at that time, several of whom would go into the administration, including Mick Mulvaney as OMB director, and it was widely known and believed. Now, Michael Cohen never told me firsthand, I'm going into the White House, I want to, but it was widely discussed that he was angling for Attorney General or to be White House counsel. There's dozens and dozens of people around Washington who could corroborate that. My jaw hit the floor when I heard him denying that. And as a practical matter, which is probably extraneous to this discussion, but I'll share anyway, he likely wouldn't have qualified for a job in the West Wing. You have to be able to get a top secret security clearance. They would have gone through his finances. Frankly, this home equity line probably would have shown up. The payment that he got back likely would have shown up on a financial disclosure. But yeah, that really struck me. And to be honest, I do not think this is going the way the prosecution had hoped.
Yeah, not a good day for the prosecution. Michael Cohen is a known fabulist. He is. He's been convicted. He's a felon. But you're so desperate. This is, you know, I need to say this. This trial against Trump is a microcosm of all of the problems about going after Trump, and that is that the left is so desperate to get Donald Trump on something, they can't get him on anything. When you throw all the spaghetti at the wall, remember James Carville the other day, they're throwing all the spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. Nothing sticks. James Carville says they're even throwing me at the wall and I'm not sticking. They well overplayed their hand. Now, here also, this is the other thing, is every major Democrat knew this was a bad case. When the facts came out, remember when the facts came out last March as to how Alvin Bragg was charging Donald Trump, people stopped talking about the case on the left. It's important again to remember what's going on here. Alvin Bragg is charging Donald Trump under a state law that has a statute of limitations of 2 years, which means he can't prosecute Donald Trump. The only way to get around it was to claim that Donald Trump committed or attempted to commit a federal crime in order to do document fraud. And what's happening is there's never been a prosecution of Donald Trump for a federal crime, and federal law says only the federal government can prosecute you for that crime, which they never did. So Alvin Bragg is attempting to prosecute Donald Trump for a federal crime, using it as a presuppositional case to prosecute him for a state crime. There's just not a way to do that, and his case is falling apart under the weight of the evidence of the witnesses. It's been salacious. They've hoped to drag it out. They've hoped to run Donald Trump through the mud, which to a degree they have, but that's not the legal standard. There's also another angle on this that you need to understand, and this is probably the bigger point. Donald Trump is being prosecuted essentially under the theory that had he not covered this up, people would have seen it and it would have cost him the election. He's being prosecuted for covering something up in order to save his electoral chances. Just yesterday, the President of the United States declared executive privilege so that he did not have to release the audio of his conversation with special prosecutors. Because in his own words, the Republicans might use it for politics. So Donald Trump is being prosecuted for blocking something, and Joe Biden is using executive privilege to block something, both of which are about an election and the chances in an election, and the media and the Democrats are giving Joe Biden a pass while trying to throw Donald Trump in jail. That's rather staggering when you put it in that way. And it can be put in that way because it is true. It absolutely is true. The other angle of this, however, though, is that the rule for a campaign finance violation, which is what the prosecutors alleged in New York, is that this would not have happened but for an election, except Donald Trump and Melania Trump had a massive prenup. He would pay her a lot of money if it came out he had cheated on her with a porn star. And so when Stormy Daniels says she was going to go public, of course he was going to pay her to shut up because he didn't want to pay even more money to Melania Trump in a prenup. It doesn't meet the rules of a campaign finance violation. Therefore, it doesn't meet the rules for documentary fraud under the state of New York because it doesn't meet the rules of an intent to cover something up in violation of law. And the whole case is falling apart. They threw everything at Donald Trump and they could get nothing to stick at Donald Trump. And the reason is because in this particular case, there are so many things you could go after Donald Trump for, but not this. And also, the public voted for Donald Trump after seeing with their own eyes a video where he bragged about grabbing women by their you-know-what. Do you really think the public is, having voted for him after that, going to say, he cheated on his wife with a porn star? Oh, that's a bridge too far for me. That's essentially what they've done with this case. They want to drag him through the mud and make him unacceptable to people. And all it's done is it's made a whole lot of Americans, including people who don't like Donald Trump, think, man, they really are using the judicial system to try to beat this guy because they can't beat him at the ballot box. They've destroyed their own credibility.